Fallout 3. If you're like me, you've played through the intro to this game a fair few times. And there's only so many times I can watch my birthday cake get ruined by this oafish android before I go on a homicidal rampage. And let's not even mention the goat test. There's a lot of reasons I play games, Bethesda, and being able to go to school in a lead-lined underground box isn't one of them. Luckily, with a bit of timing and perfect placement, there's a way to leave the vault early. So today I ask, can you beat Fallout 3 as a baby? There's no rules for this run, which makes a nice change. Although I did make a personal choice to play through the game on the Xbox version. I'll explain why shortly. Let's get started. I named my character after one of the most evil children in cinema history, and when I load into the playpen, I sort out my specials, focusing on endurance and agility. It takes me just short of an hour to get the glitch to work. If you don't know how to do this, I'm going to give you a little rundown. After interacting with the book, head over to the right side corner of the door and wait for your dad to come back. When he opens the door, immediately close it again whilst going through it, and race to run through the other one before it closes. When I finally make it out, I wave goodbye to Dad, and after jumping into the gaping maw, I grab the baseball bat from my future room, and I'm confronted by a stark realization. You move so slowly. And this is where the choice to play on the Xbox version comes into play. If you play on PC, you can speed up the game using console commands, so you move faster. But I decided against it. If it takes 50 hours to walk across the waste of America, then so be it. Luckily, I had quite a peaceful romp through the vault, as most of the enemies didn't spawn, and the ones that did either didn't spot me or were distracted by other characters. After making my way to the entrance to the vault, I'm faced by a choice. Technically, I haven't got any tag skills, because I never went to school, so I could set myself some here. But I decided not to, because like with the running speed, if I change it, I feel like I'm not getting the definitive baby experience. Speaking of, throughout the entire run, because I'm still technically a baby, when I press the interact button, I still make the noises, which is hilarious. Something else that I need to mention is that the Pip-Boy is a tad broken whilst playing as a baby. You can still use it fine, you just can't see. So when hotkeying my weapons, I had to use the sounds that play when you equip them to make sure I was getting the right one. And the map, well, you can still fast travel, but it takes some trial and error. After half-inching the armoured vault suit from Moira, I break into Moriarty's terminal right in front of him and learn that my dad passed through here on his way to Galaxy News Radio to visit Snoop Dogg. So I make tracks to my goal. After a really long journey and getting chomped on by some dogs, I arrive at Farragut Station. When I get inside, I conk some mole rats over the head and turn into Mr. Fantastic after getting skinned alive by these ghouls. Until I realised that I can just turn the gas on, grab a laser pistol from the safe, and use it to cause a massive explosion. After killing one of the local Shreks, I emerge from the metro, meet up with Army Barbie, and try my best to keep up with her as she and her troop slaughter all the Shreks in the area. Unfortunately, this is how a lot of the Follow X character scenarios are going to go in this run, because I'm way too slow to keep up with anyone. When we finally get to the GNR, I do manage to help somewhat by shooting some of the freaks, and when the behemoth shows up, the Brotherhood absolutely shredded him. It also turns out that I'm too small for him to hit. Poor twat got absolutely ganked. And I managed to grab a fat man from one of the Brotherhood's corpses. After speaking with the long-legged Mac Daddy, he sends me to grab a satellite dish from the Museum of Technology. Which means I have to exterminate some Chernobyl supermodels and go romping through the metro again. Upon emerging from the musty tunnels, I'm immediately set upon by a gang of Shreks and their bastard miniguns. Eventually, I manage to send them to mutant hell, and when I get inside the museum, I have to fight even more of the swamp-dwelling arseholes. And luckily, because of my size, I'm quite hard to hit, because my hitbox scales with it, so I manage to kill them with little to no issues. Although, after grabbing the antenna, I did almost get turned into a walking colander in the planetarium. But I just managed to scrape through by the skin of my teeth. After riding a lift to the top of the Washington Monument, I install the satellite, so now everyone has to listen to Snoop Dogg on repeat until their ears bleed. After managing to fast travel back to the GNR, Snoop tells me that my dad went to Rivet City. So that's where I'm headed. On the way, I come across a local crackhead who's willing to repair my ship for some caps, which was nice of him. Then I practice skimming along the water, and when I finally arrive at Rivet City, Dr. Lee just sends me to the Jefferson Memorial. But since that just sends me to Smith Case's garage anyway, I decided to bypass the memorial and just head straight there. The trek from Rivet City to the garage took the piss, but was mostly uneventful. Even after repairing my equipment to create a side supply, the only enemies I encounter are some bloatflies and rogue protectrons. When I arrive at my destination after what seemed like a decade, I clear out the mole rats and enter the metaverse to rescue me dad, who's feeling a bit rough. I decided to help Dr. Braun with his maniacal sadistic tasks. As when I normally do challenge runs for Fallout 3, I'm usually restricted on what items I can use. And I wasn't going to pass up an opportunity to become the pint-sized slasher and chop the residents of Tranquility Lane into sizable chunks. Plus, I am literally pint-sized in this playthrough, so it would be a crime not to do it. Now that my dad has been de-fleed, we make tracks to Rivet City, and after he reminisces with Lee, I make tracks to exterminate all the ogres at the Jefferson Memorial. And because they can barely land a hit on me, coupled with the new fact that it's easier to hide now because I'm so small, I executed them quickly and efficiently. And once the nerds take up shop inside, I shoot Gaza to save him from having a heart attack. Then after helping my dad fix his plumbing, the Enclave show up to half-inch some water because they are thirstier than a gooner on Valentine's Day. After popping their heads clean off, my dad decides to game end himself, then me and the nerds head through the sewers so we can doss around at the Brotherhood's gaff for a bit. When we arrive, Scribe Rothschild tells me to go to Vault 87 to get a GECK so I can finish what my old man started. Which means I get to have another lengthy adventure across the United Wastes of America. After a run-in with some filthy raiders and some of the local vermin, I come across some Enclave idiots. They attempted to unleash a Deathclaw on me, but it decided to slaughter all of them before it even looked at me, and when it did, I blew its brains out. My arrival to Little Lamplight caused me a great deal of confusion, because despite me being a baby, Mayor Dick Reedy still calls me a mungo and won't let me in. In all seriousness, I really didn't want to trek all the way to Paradise Falls, and my charisma isn't high enough to get the Child at Heart perk, so my only option is to keep save scomming until I can pass this speech check. Which took the absolute piss because I only had a 3% chance to do so. Once I finally make it in there, I cleanse the tunnels of the foul mutant scum, and after blowing them all to hell, I head inside the vault. Then after turning the rest of them into minced meat, I meet up with Forks, and once he grabs the GECK, the Enclave decides to roofie me. And now I have to escape from the Mount Chiliad bunker without getting my arsehole blown out the back of my head. Which is easier said than done, considering most of the yobbos in here are wearing power armor. But once again, my small hitbox really helped keep me alive. Whilst making my way to see the Commander-in-Chief, I come across Anna Holt, and she confesses that she ratted us out to the Enclave. Usually, people say, snitches get stitches, but in my experience, you can heal from stitches. So in this case, it's more like snitches get buried in ditches. After grabbing the Shrek Plague from President Obama, I head back to the Citadel for the final battle, which turned out to be the most uncinematic, anticlimactic scenario I've ever been involved in, because I'm so slow that I ended up just following the trail of destruction left behind by Optimus Prime and the rest of the Brotherhood. And when I finally get to the memorial, I ended up just blowing Colonel Autumn to Timbuktu. Then I send Sarah in to cleanse the water, which I don't think I should get negative karma for. In fact, I think it's quite the opposite. Sending a baby in to get radiation poisoning is cruel and immoral. So Sarah is doing a really honourable thing. And as her organs slowly melt, her tale comes to an end. And with that, I beat Fallout 3 as a baby. You may be surprised to learn that this is the first time I've actually completed a baby run for Fallout 3. And despite me being slower than my nan's driving, I actually had a ton of fun. It was hilarious seeing how small I was compared to everything else, and seeing the enemies desperately trying to hit me and swing in air was satisfying as hell. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe? It helps out the channel massively. Plus, if you turn on the notification bell, you get to watch more juicy content from yours truly when it releases. If you want to support me further, consider joining as a channel member. You get early access to videos, and a mention in them for being such a legend. If there's a specific video you want to see, or you just want to have a chat, drop a comment down below,
and I'll see you next time.